Today we're going to talk about living with purpose. I've been reading a book by Rick Warren. Um, Here it is here, The Purpose Driven Life. Um, and I brought the book with me today because when we talk about purpose, you know, I think that there's multiple purposes for our lives. Let me just put it that way. It's not just one single thing. But there's spiritual and also worldly purposes for our lives that we're to execute. I talked about purpose before, and the one thing that burns inside of you is to fulfill that purpose, right? And I believe all of us have a purpose. I know all of us have a purpose because we wouldn't be born if we did not, right? So I'm going to jump into the 5 questions. These are the 5 life questions. This is in chapter 40 of his book. There's a daily reading per day, and it's actually 40 days of reading. And the 40th chapter is living with purpose. And the first question that I want to ask you is, what will be the center of your life? This is the question of worship. Who are you going to live for? Are you going to live for God, or are you going to live for worldly things? So what will be the center of your life? For me, God is the center of my life, and then everything else revolves around it, right? He made all these things anyway. So why worship things that he made and not make him the center of your life? What would be the character of my life? So this is the question of discipleship. What kind of person will you be? And for me, I want to be a spiritual person. I want to be Christ-like. I want to be like God. So that's how I answer that question. But you can answer the question for yourself. What would be the character of your life? The third question is, what would be the contribution of your life? This is the question of service. So how can you make a difference in the world? So only you can answer that question. And a lot of these questions you need to take into prayer and talk to God about them. But what will be the contribution of my life? For me, is service through mental and money. It's living my life's purpose, taking care of my family, sharing my story, to help others, believers and non-believers, and to share that story unapologetically, right? The fourth question is, what would be the communication of my life or of your life? This is the question of your mission to unbelievers. So folks that do not believe in Christianity, how will you share your story? How will you communicate that to others so that they can give their lives to Christ? And I'll look to do that again through this mission and ministry, to share my life experiences and hope to convert those that do not believe to believe. Jesus died for our sins. All right. And the last question, the fifth question is, what will be the community of my life? This is the question of fellowship. So how will you demonstrate your commitment to other believers and connection to the family of God? To which church family will you join? So that is the question of community. How would you commune with other believers? How will you sharpen your pencil? I am the member of 2 churches, actually, one physically, one virtually. But it's up to you to consistently join and commune with other Christians, because, again, it sharpens your pencil, it strengthens your faith, and you have a community of believers. So those are the 5 questions that I wanted to ask you about living your purpose. Again, think about it, pray about it, and help God open up doors for you to believe. I'm going to leave you with a Bible verse, living with purpose. So Proverbs 19:21. Many are the plans in a man's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails. All right, I pray for you. Have a good day. Thank you.